Hi, I'm Patrick and welcome to Project Concrete Jungle. Thank you for watching episode 1. I had some pretty good feedback, some good, some bad, and some pretty ugly, but I think the main takeaway from the entire conversation is pretty much on production value. Now, when I started the project, the whole idea is to really impart on knowledge value rather than to spend a lot of time and effort on production and commercial value. So I expect the project to be free. Expect the project to be produced on a zero budget. Zero budget meaning not one single cent is being spent on production value, but expect the project to give you a lot of insights and knowledge on how you can start up your own business. Now on episode 2, we're going to be talking to Tai and how he started his photobook printing business. Hi Tai, welcome to Project Concrete Jungle. Today we're going to be talking about your startup, how you started your photo book printing business, Ecazstudio. But before we begin, perhaps you'd like to share with us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, thanks. Start the Ecazstudios is by no means an accident. I felt like everything I did in the past kind of prepared me to take on this photo book printing business. See, I spent some time in the mid-80s selling Apple Macintoshes to publishing company. That's when the revolution of desktop publishing set in. That time we see the conventional typeset business being taken over by this new breed of digital desktop publishing. Now that's my first taste of publishing business. I moved on later to Fujitsu, where my main core responsibility is taking care of document imaging. So a lot of data, image, scan and store, filing and stuff like that. I then went on to join Silicon Graphics, where Silicon Graphics is at its peak and is also the time where Silicon had its very significant downfall because of the misjudgments from the top management in propelling them into the new era, which is where we are today. As you can see that we are now on to workstation, which is really cost effective compared to supercomputer and massively parallel computing of those days to churn out visual effect for movie, to managing digital asset for production house and production houses for movie making and advertisement as well. I was in Apple briefly in the early 2000s, and that's what this thing struck me, that if we are putting or packaging digital asset management solution to consumer at the consumer level.
Was this with iPhoto?
Yes. In fact, the things that strike me very much is about iPhoto.
So these were the early stages of iPhoto, whereby you can store all your digital photographs onto this application and you can manage
yes.
photos.
What strikes me is iPhoto basically represent or basically is an incarnation of what we did in Silicon Graphics of digital asset management, which we charge production houses, Hollywood production houses for millions of dollars. For instance, during when Peter Jackson shooting his Lord of the Ring in New Zealand, is a team of Silicon Graphics engineer in Singapore that putting up the whole media asset management system for the whole production. End to end, from shooting to storage and to sorting out data for editing. In fact,
what about this business, or what about this solution that really gave you the idea that photo book printing would be a lucrative business to get into?
from the various aspect of multimedia system solution that I got involved, from Fujitsu, from Silicon Graphics, and when I landed in Apple, it's basically a big cultural shock, because image or special effect, or so to speak film in digital form is a very tedious and complex subject to handle those days. And when Steve Jobs announced iPhoto and iMovie, it struck me so hard that they basically simplified the whole process and actually bring down the complexity and present it to a consumer level. Meaning, right now you can basically transfer thousands of your photo onto a tiny MacBook, and you can have MacBook manage your digital content such as photo, the way we did in Silicon Graphics, with the helps of many system engineers, and you can now do it at home at your own leisure, and they hide away the whole technical mumbo jumbo of it and present it to you with the way us human like to manage our file, which is visual, which you look for your photo from your friend's photo, you tag your image from where you capture them. All these are a big breakthrough in digital asset management. Now, that's basically what we are totally missing in this digital camera era. Now you go out and buy digital camera, the camera shop people will tell you, hey, you get this digital camera, it gives you that much zoom, this SD card gives you that much storage space, can store thousands of your photo, but they never tell you how you manage them. And that's what people missing for the past 10 years. Is a place where you are managing your photo library.
So these were the really early days of photo management. But did you already have an idea of selling or producing a service that sells printed photo books?
See, in the early 90s and mid 80s, because of due to the film that you purchase, that before you can...
Those were analog days, right? I mean,
the analog days, correct.
Before the digital days.
Yeah, you need to print it or you need to send for a photo lab to process it before you can see your photo. Now, that's also the peaks of photo printing in Malaysia. And the business volume is very big for both people like Kodak and Fuji.
Do you know roughly what was the size we're talking about?
We kind of did a few check here and there. We reckon it is about between 500 to 700 million ringgit per year for the industry.
For the entire industry?
Correct. For buying film and processing photo only for Malaysia, West Malaysia and East Malaysia. Now that's the market size, I reckon. Now, compared it today, you don't even see a giant like Kodak being active in Malaysia. They are being very silent behind the scene. In fact, the HQ has been moved to places like Australia to cater for this market.
Okay. So what inspired you to start Ecazstudio?
Okay. Now, I look at this as both opportunity as well as something I really like photography. Now, I grew up from a small town in Kedah where I frequent this photo lab. Basically, our life filled with either you go to school, you play soccer afternoon. At night, we basically congregated at the photo lab of where my friend is operating. Day in, day out, I see how photos are being processed analog day in the late 70s, early 80s. If they shoot a passport photo or some of the black and white photo, everything is processed in-house using dark room technique. And but photo is something that fascinated me, and being close to photo lab, we've seen a lot of customer that come in, the way how this photo affect these people, and how people in the remote area basically take their time, take off a day off from job to come and gather the family to have a family portrait shot in the studios, even if they don't carry a camera. I even have this incident that struck me most, where there is this gentleman who one day drove past the photo lab and spotted the photo that captured by the same studio years back, and the photo is being displayed with a frame at the windows. He was so surprised and so happy that he found photo that he captured some time back, and he basically dropped by to actually offer to buy off that. I can see it from his face that he is like so amazed with what he discovered. A photo he thought never around anymore.
So there was a very strong emotional attachment to...
Correct. And in fact, he is willing to pay whatever my friend is offering. And my friend was so impressed about, so emotional about the event. He given away the photo with frame to this the gentleman free of charge. And we've seen that this thing after that they have also developed into friend, where the guy will drop by on and off to say hello.
Oh, okay. So it's a very personal touch.
Correct.
So is that the statement? So was that what inspired you? You wanted to sell the memory to.
Ever since that, I always trying to imagine myself if I'm a photographer, but I'm also kind of put off by the process in processing photo in the early day. Dark room. My friend will have to hide in the dark room for 12, 14 hours every time he completes.
Process the...
Correct, and that's something that I don't see myself take parts in, because you know, taking photo is fun where you capture memory, but if you need me to take 12, 14 hours sitting in the dark room to process that photo, then it's really not my thing. So things progress. And nowadays we are in digital camera era. Whatever you capture, you have it immediately. And as well as my experience in multimedia computing, digital asset management become things that I can immediately take control.
So, but with digital photography, right? The user don't necessarily need to print anymore, right? I mean, they can just keep the digital version, and that's about it.
Correct.
So what was the real sell?
Okay,
to these customers?
We capture photo, most of us, with one intention, where we wanted to keep this memory of us to be shared, right? Now we have many ways of sharing, but the real issue now we have compared to film day, apart from the things that I mentioned. Hiding in a dark room for long hours, or buying film and processing the film, even in the color photo lab, is that you need to pay for the film, and then you need to send for processing. Now, two things that you kind of need to wish that the photo lab are doing a good job to print your photo. But on the other side, you never actually have a lot of photo. Take for instance, if you make a long trip, say you buy 10 roll of film, it will turn out to be 360 pieces of photo.
Yeah.
Yes, and you know, that's never an issue in terms of the volume.
Right.
Right. In digital era, we have SD card that come in 16 gigabyte, 32 gigabyte. Even when you shoot RAW, a 16 gigabyte can give you about 600 photo in it.
So you really don't care what you take, you just whack away. Whereas, you know, back in the old days, when you're talking about 36 films, so you tend to really, you
tend to be thrifty about what you shoot, and you tend to plan how you shoot. Now it can be a good thing or it can be a bad thing. Bad thing is you cannot capture every moments that you think is important where you can sort out. But the good thing is then you don't pause up your photo that make it manageable. So all this while, the photographer are working between manageable sizes of photo around what they take, consumer or professional alike. In the digital era, we have got camera and SD card that can give you thousands of photos per storage card. That's basically, if you use it properly, it's a good thing because you can now capture more important moment.
And you get to really choose and curate your story, you know, for the printing of the storybook. So tell us a little bit about Ecazstudio. What Ecazstudio is as a company. What is it all about?
Okay, now then forgive me. I need to continue with the photo. Now, having lots of photo, if you don't manage it well, it's really a disaster.
Right.
Imagine that every event or every trip that you make, you take 500 photo or 1,500 photo, and then every week you have 2 events or 2 trips. Before you know it, you have your 5,000, you have 4,000 photos in the libraries, and without a good digital asset management tools, it's really a disaster. That's also answer your question about nobody printing anymore. I interpret it as people cannot find their photo. Okay, now back to Ecazstudios. We started Ecazstudio with 2 intentions in mind. One is we are trying to run it as a business where customer can print photo book. Another is that we wanted to share with consumer or photographer or pro photographer alike how they should manage their photo, which I think this is the key to where essentially or how essentially you can share your photo. Now, for instance, in digital era, you have all your photo captured digitally, and you store them digitally. Now, if you can have a good library and you can pull out photo with surgical precision, which photo you want to pull out, where you captured this photo, who you shot this photo, or who is inside your photo, you can always pull this photo out and make sharing with your photo. And there are many ways of sharing your photo. Send it up to Facebook is one popular way of sharing your photos. Making a slideshow is I find that it's very compelling. But I think the most compelling method of sharing is making them into a hardcover coffee table book, which is what we are doing. That's why we always go out and share with people. It's not about printing a book for yourself. It's more about how to share your photo. There are many ways or many instances how you can share. Different occasion you share your photo differently, right? So printing a coffee table book will make this photo accessible at any point of time. People come into or visited you and they just pick up the book and then they just flip it just like a coffee table book. That's our offering.
Okay. So, but you know, for a person that's been with multinational corporations such as, you know, Apple, Fujitsu, Silicon Graphic, was it difficult for you to move away from employment and move into entrepreneurship? I mean, was it challenging for you emotionally?
Not really. In fact, see, I started off selling Macintosh. That's a good training for me. If you were to start selling Apple computer in 1980s, you will see how or what kind of obstacle you are facing. In fact, I will rate it as PC as dominated all the market space, we are going around as something special. We're selling Apple, and we are really banging our head against the wall. And every case that we go up against, we analyze, we strategize. In fact, it's much easier running your business than working for people selling Apple those days, right? Now, moving away from the Apple selling in the mid-80s and late 80s, I went into Fujitsu, where we are dealing with document imaging, storage, where you scan and you file. We kind of like moving at the forefront of the market, educating people to adopt this new method in filing your document. With that kind of market education, the preparation, that's basically prepared me for me to start my own business. So to me, it's not so much about jumping from employment to
free falling.
Yes, that's right. It is also something to do when I'm in school as well. Dads don't give me money for my activity like fishing, camping and things like that. I have to go out on weekend. In Kedah, weekend is Friday and Saturday, where usually I can find jobs in Pasar Malam, selling items like plastic container. Sometimes I get consignment of sweet potato, one whole truckload of it to sell over a day.
You will sell a truckload of potatoes.
Sweet potato, and we have
How much you make out of selling that?
In a good day, I can pocket about 50 or 60 ringgit.
Then what happens to the rest of the, or you completely sell off? Then?
Yes, that's right.
So one truckload is $50.
Yeah, this is how I got trained. Later on, I found that when I'm in the MNC, that's what we call quota, right? You have a business quota. So when this sweet potato trader, when we commit to him, he said, okay, we take this, we will sell for you. We will finish off your sweet potato in one day in the Pasar Malam. So me and a few friends will try our tricks to sell off everything till when we have some leftover at night. Sometimes we split them, while we still make some money. And I find it interesting because we even come out with packages that the way we package our sweet potato in terms of volume to sell back to you. You know that these people may have sweet potato planted in their backyard, but they buy from you.
Okay.
That's the challenge we get those days, and we were so hungry about to make this money because come holiday we need to go for a camping trip,
right?
And your family basically don't give you anything because.
So this is the only opportunity for you to achieve that.
Yes.
Okay, but what about financially? I mean, was it difficult for you to engage financially of how to start up Ecazstudio?
Okay, Ecazstudios is actually my second go at starting my own operation. I had one much earlier in the early 2000 where I jumped in and start a mobile computing company, and of course I came off, got a bit of burn from that operation. That got me into thinking very hard on this second one, and also get me into kind of prepared for this run because I cannot afford to go down anymore. Because at my age now, I don't want to go back and look for employment.
How old were you when you started Ecaz?
40-ish.
Wow. Okay.
I started off we call it mobile computing. We started off quite early without looking too much into market and the market acceptance. but it's solely on technical aspect. We think that I can start off something because mobile trend is coming. We can see it very early because of my my works in silicon graphics. Then that we can tell that the mobile computing is coming. People need to get the handphone to start communicating apart from voice. We envisage that we should use our handphone to do instant messages, to do some voice messages where you can send out like SMS and all this. So it's very much about the technical aspect of it. We
so
think
these were the early stages, early years of app development.
Yes, and in fact we developed two apps. One is kind of a multi-user chat where you can log in with a server host at the telco, and then user can chat to each other over data line. Those days, the data line, the mobile application are basically developed on WAPs. 2 years later, the telco told us that they think the 3G network is still very expensive. And we were at the burning rate of something that we could not proceed anymore. So we decided to shut it down.
So was it really bad? Were you burned very badly?
Not really. In fact, I look at it as a good lesson. So I believe for my next run, I would want to come in and look at the market aspect of it, regardless of the technicality of the solution that we came up with. I think the more important, the lesson that I learned is the market, right? So that's how Ecazstudio start, because I am looking at photo book printing and photo management at consumer level as something that people who have a digital camera required. And we don't have to do a lot of statistics by knowing that people are buying digital camera like nobody business. Today, even a phone is your digital camera.
Okay, so on your first attempt into entrepreneurship, that's where you started the WAP business, WAP application development business, and you got burned, right? So so was it financially more difficult to start Ecazstudio, or where do you come up with the finances to start the business?
From the first experience, of course, I burned off some of my saving. Friends or partners burn some of the business capital.
So do you burn some bridges as well?
No, we got stronger.
Ah, okay.
Right, because we got into trouble together.
Uh-huh.
And when I start this, of course, we become a bit wiser. We wanted to start it from market aspect. So I did start the operation, getting my head wet totally, running around, starting it without actually putting in money to basically get some friend and some Apple reseller to sell them the concept.
So you were already bootstrapping the entire operation?
Correct.
Before you got your partners to commit?
Yes.
Okay.
And I put up the whole flow. After about 6 months, then I get my old partner to look into the things again. And that's how we put in some of the initial capital we need to start.
Was it a lot of money to start?
No, I just put in, say, 50K.
Okay. All right. And 50K is enough for you to get your equipment?
This is the 5th year.
Great. All right. 50K for 5 years of operation is still going strong.
Yes.
Okay. So what was the few things that you really looked into when building Ecazstudio?
Again, it's also the uphill side is still the market. We know that we have a very compelling product. Still, the market is filled with customer or digital camera user who are really seriously in trouble with their digital asset. Yeah, we do have lots of them know how to keep their photo in hard disk or any storage that they have, but that's the compounded problem. The more you chuck into your hard disk, the harder you're going to retrieve them. So then we start to explore by working out with some Apple reseller to start giving free workshop to show people how they should manage their photo.
Why Apple resellers? I mean,
because the single most powerful application I can see in the market is iPhoto, right? And
so there was a direct correlation between iPhoto and Ecazstudio business.
Correct, very much, and it's a very biased thing. As if you were to ask me, a lot of people ask me, hey, why don't you just get someone to create a page layout software, or buy a page layout software from some of the now competitor are using. I strongly believe that is not the solution that I wanted to project from Ecazstudio to the customer, because it's simply not me selling you a book. Photo book is very special. Photo book is about you capturing your photo. You need to be able to manage them. It's just like you are the Peter Jackson. I'm your post-production. You capture your photo, you pull out whichever photo that you want to compile into your story, right? Then you pass to me. I'm printing it and finishing it for you. You can then share it with your loved one, your family, your friend.
But with a small market share of Apple users, right, and versus the larger population of PC users, doesn't that, you know, are you like in a way cutting yourself away from a very large possible market, whereas playing in a very small pool?
Correct. That's precisely where we are now. But you see, the difference is that our customer who uses a Mac, who uses an iPhoto, who manages their photo, who using iPhoto to do layout, their book came out more professional look, and people thought that I am the one who make it professional. I'm only having a very small part. That's precisely why we want to go into this business. We are printing and we are binding, right? The layout is by you. And if you, Mr. Customer, are not trained to be a book layout or to be a page layout artist, and yet you can come up with such a professionally look layout, it will boost your confidence. And when you show it to your family, when you show it to your friend, and you impress them so much, that's what I get more business. You will come back and create them again, because it's all about now you are able to share your the moment that you capture, so powerful and so impressed by your friend, you keep doing more. That's all what I'm looking at.
Okay, so was it challenging for you to build Ecazstudio? I mean, coming from a background of working with large multinational corporation whereby everything is already provided for you, you just need to do and focus on one job role. And when it comes to app development, you literally can work out of Starbucks or something like that. But right now, you need to build a printing service, right? A print shop. Was it difficult to bridge the knowledge gap?
Yes and no. It depends on how we organize ourselves. Yes, we are now a very small company. We cannot departmentalize a lot of things that we are doing. But the handling of the process, the standard operating procedure in the production still need to be organized as tidy as when we are in MNC, because we cannot have shortcuts over there. That's basically say that organically Ecazstudio may grow slightly slower due to production, but we after 4 to 5 years we have crossed that barrier. We have worked out the flow, manufacturing the book, QCing of that, the logistic portion of delivering it are all well taken care of and well sorted out.
So is it a strategy to keep the team small, or
initially, yes, but of course, you know, this is a business. We want to blow it out. Just like we are having a slightly better time this day because of a few factors. One is there are more people who realize about what they can do with their photo, especially the Mac user. And we have a lot more Mac users this day because of iPad 2, because of iPhone. When you're talking about Apple, people don't have that mental block anymore. That's one part of it. The other part of it, a lot of people or businesses in the printing thought that, hey, printing photo book is a good business. They're trying to come in and trying to compete in this market, and that basically give us an advantage as well, because of all this new competitor or these new businesses who are trying to come in, indirectly educate the market that what the market can do with their photo, sharing with their loved one.
So what before we end, I think do you have like 3 things you want to share with new startup entrepreneurs?
Look at the market, stick to what you like, and I think perseverance is really what required over here. No shortcut.
No shortcuts. Okay, and it's all about procedures and SOPs.
Correct.
Right, a little bit more control over the process.
Precisely.
Okay. Okay, then the last question is pretty much, you know, well, the project is all about, you know, coming from zero to hero. Where do you see yourself at this point of time, zero or hero?
I think I'm between zero and hero. Hopefully I can be hero soon. But with the things that we put in place, we are quite happy with what we are today. And because of the position we are in, it also gives us a better vantage view of what's coming and how we can align ourselves and who we can work with in this new digital imaging and digital content era.
You say that you are happy, but what is happiness to Tai? I mean, what is happiness to Ecazstudio? Okay,
happiness is what we are planning and what we envisage basically come almost in place, and that's excitement. It means that what we believe is just how we put in and how we go for or how we aim at it.
Right? I mean, like setting the target, setting a goal, and you're able to achieve it.
Correct. The milestone.
So the milestones and.
Correct.
Okay. All right. So thank you very much, Tai, for the interview.
Thank you for your time as well.